The largest population of Venezuelans outside the country of Venezuela now lives in the southern U.S. state of Florida. Many of these Venezuelan immigrants maintain very strong ties with their homeland, both politically and culturally. And as CCTV's Nitza Soledad Perez found out, emotions are running high as Venezuelan Americans make themselves heard on the events that are unfolding in Venezuela.
In the city with the largest number of Venezuelans living outside their homeland, the exile community is demanding their legislators to respect the Constitution and come clear about President Hugo Chavez's health. About 200,000 Venezuelan immigrants live in the United States, half of them in South Florida, according to U.S. Census figures. Most of them are passionate opponents to Chavez's revolution. Mario Di Giovanni is a 24-year-old student at Florida International University. He and his fellow protesters are calling for transparency.
We are uninformed. We have a sense of uncertainty of what is going on. We don't know if the president that was chosen is in the conditions to take power again. We don't know if he's not in conditions to take power. So I think it's something that affects not only people that are against him, but also in favor of him. Because if I'm a person that voted for him, why don't I know what is going on? Where is the president that I supposedly voted for?
This student of finance is also the coordinator of Voto Donde Sea, an organization that mobilized Venezuelan voters in the United States to go to New Orleans and vote in last year's elections. The Miami consulate was closed by the Chavez administration after a diplomatic spat between the U.S. and the Venezuelan government. As a consequence, the only place where Venezuelans from Miami could exercise their right to vote was 1,400 kilometers away. Unanswered questions about President Chavez's health and Venezuela's future fill Spanish radio waves in Florida. The exile community wants to make sure the rest of the world knows how they feel and what they want.
The Venezuelan community is very active in spreading their message around and explaining what's going on. Sometimes the situation in Venezuela is so complicated that international organizations don't understand it. It's hard for them to get their head around the fact that the president has full control of all powers.
But after 14 years of Chavez in power, the opposition in Miami is finally grasping Venezuela's political reality.
There's no denying that half the country supports Chavez. The country is completely polarized. Half the country wants Chavez, the other half doesn't. And I'm sure that for any opposition government to be successful, it'll first have to win over the Chavez supporters so the country can be unified again.
Even considering a coalition of sorts. Venezuelans here in South Florida agree that the crisis affecting their homeland won't be solved anytime soon, even if Chavez returns to the country alive. And the longer it takes, the higher chances are that a big wave of Venezuelan immigrants land on the shores of South Florida. Nitza Soledad Perez, CCTV, Miami.